This is Randy from PV3 Tax, and I'm going to show you how to use the PV3 Payroll Manager Pro that I created many years ago. I don't really use it all that often, but it's a pretty cool spreadsheet. So I thought I'd make a video on how to use it, and I have a customer who's interested in using it. So I thought, hey, why don't I make a video on how to use this awesome spreadsheet? Because as I reviewed it, I'm like, this is pretty cool. All right, so I'm going to show you the PV3 Payroll Manager Pro. What happens is there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 worksheets together to do payroll, and it can do payroll up to 20 employees. If you had more than that, you could have me make more, but honestly, when you're hitting that many employees, you really should probably be using Sage 50 or QuickBooks. But for a couple employees, this is a pretty awesome option because it doesn't really cost anything other than my initial cost for the spreadsheet, and if you ever need any updates. So on this first sheet is your input sheet. This is where you're going to put all your basic information for the year. You're going to want to ask yourself, okay, how many employees do I want? Do I want 5, 15, 10, 20? How many do I want? And as you click these buttons, it expands the employee list to as many as you need. Honestly, it doesn't really matter, just either condenses or shows them all. Today we're just going to do one employee, but I'm going to show you. You're going to put your business name up here, so you're going to type it in this box. Any white box is a place where you can put information. The blue shaded cells, leave them alone. You're going to mess things up. So stay within the white area for the boxes. So we're going to put I'm just going to leave it as my business, the business name, but whatever you type in there will flow through to the pay stubs. It'll flow to the T4 or in data sheets. It'll flow through. You want to pick the first payday of the year. So it's first pay period, the first paycheck you're going to be making in a year. So let's say it's oops. Here, I'll get rid of that. Okay, so let's say you start in beginning of the year and it was January, but let's say you pay on a Friday. So the first Friday of 2023 was January the 6th. So that's the date I'm going to put up there, January the 6th. And you have one spreadsheet per year. Don't keep using it. You use it one spreadsheet per year. So once you put in that first date, you've got your first pay period date. That's just the last day of the year. Just put your last day of the year. In this case, obviously 2023. And then from there you have options. You can do either weekly or bi-weekly. It doesn't do monthly really or semi-monthly. If that's the case, then you'll have to use something different. But if it is weekly or bi-weekly, you want to choose which one. So in this case, we're going to choose weekly. And then EI inclusion rate has been 1.4 since I've been doing this work, and I've been in this industry for almost 20 years. Yeah, it's 2023. And I started in 2004. So for 20 years, it's been 1.4, and it's probably been even longer than that. WSIB rate is the percentage. It's the that you would pay out WSIB. And EHT, we're just going to leave alone. And actually, we'll just leave WSIB and EHT out for this example. If there are any taxable benefits, this is where you put the names for the taxable benefits. So if it was a restaurant, you had tips. Yes, tips are a taxable benefit. There's lots of other different taxable benefits. I'll let you go on Google and find that out, or call me up and I can help you with that. We're just going to leave one in just for the example today. There are these 3 check boxes, EI, CPP, and income tax. Depending on what taxable benefit you have, depends on whether or not you have to charge EI, CPP, or tax on those taxable benefits. Sometimes some are EI and tax only, some are EI and CPP only, some are CPP and income tax only. There's a lot of different variations, and you would get that from the CRA website. But the most important ones are EI and CPP. You want to find out those ones. Income tax, it'll all wash out in the end when you do taxes. But the EI and CPP you have to have perfect when you're doing taxes. So we're gonna leave that in. Okay, so we're gonna put in an employee. I'm gonna delete Bob from our list, and we're gonna add an employee. So you don't just type the name in. As you see here, note, employees must be in alphabetical order by first name. Therefore, you must add employee button. You must use this button when adding a new employee to the system. So that's what we're going to do. And hopefully you have the macros enabled. This is a macro enabled worksheet. If your security settings are too tight, some of these buttons will not work. So you do have to enable macros. That's for a different video or for a different question, and I can help you with that personally if you need help with that. But as long as your macros are working, the buttons will work. So let's add an employee. We're going to click that button, and it's going to say, type in the first name and last name of the new employee. Okay, so we're going to add Chad Chatterson the third. Now, Chad Chatterson. We're going to add Chad Chatterson to our list here. What is the, now you have options here. You'll see it's going through the list here. So are you going to do rate per hour or salary? You have a choice now. So if it's rate per hour, we're going to say we're going to give them 22 bucks an hour. We're going to hit OK. Salary, there's no, if we're doing hourly, we're not going to do salary. So you choose one, whatever it is, either a weekly salary amount or an hourly rate. You pick whatever it was. We'll just do the hourly for now. So we're going to hit OK. The first day, what is the first day that this person worked? Well, I think we said that January the 6th was the very first day of the year. So we're going to go whatever the bottom here of your computer says. So here I have 7, so I have month, day, year on my computer. You might have day, month, year, or year, month, day. So you have to do it in that format and put the dashes or the slashes, both work. So I'm going to do month, day, year. Let's say that was the first pay of the year. We're going to put in the address, 123 Chatter Street, and that's in the city of Chatterton, Ontario. I'm not sure where that is. I think I made it up. Postal code COT, making this up, 1L8. I don't know, totally making it up. Social insurance number. Hopefully you have their social insurance number. Little tip, you can, if you don't have it and you still need to get the T4 to go through, you can do 999, 999, 998. It's kind of a temporary holding social insurance number, but you don't want to use that. Ideally, you want their actual number. And then phone number, 519-555-5555. Okay, so there's the vacation pay rate. Usually it's 4%, can't be any less than that. 4% is 2 weeks. If it's 3 weeks a year, it's 6%, and so on. If the person's been there more than 5 years, it's going to be 6%. But we're going to leave it at 4%. Do you owe them any vacation pay from a previous year? Let's say you would have a retained vacation pay. That's where you would put that in, but we're going to leave that alone. What is this person's birthday? Okay, well, we're just going to say it's, I don't know, June the 10th, 2004. Enter. Okay, so it'll tell you that Chad Chatterson is 19.1 years old, and because he's over 18, that you would charge CPP. So now we have Chad Chatterson in our system, and we can now start paying him. We pay him in the data sheet. So we're going to do our very first paycheck. So we are going to do that in the data sheet. To do that, we have to pick our pay period. So we're going to pretend it's the very beginning of the year, even though right now it's July. But we're going to pretend it's January. And we're going to pick our pay period. So every Friday, we're going to have a payday. It's all the paydays are set for the whole year. It tells you what the paydays are. From there, we're going to pick our employee. So right now we just have one. It's Chad Chatterson III. And hours, so let's say he worked 40 or 35 hours that week. And rate per hour, we're going to get from our input sheet, $22 an hour. I used to have it where it automatically populated, but I found by doing that, when the rate changes, it makes kind of a bit of an issue. So you do have to type it in every time, but honestly, it's better that way. Salary, it's not salary, and there's no overtime in this case, and there's no stat pay. So it's just a plain, straight up payroll. And then we have a choice now with vacation pay. So it'll calculate vacation pay right over here for you. So it does the 4% calculation right here. So vacation pay accrued, it tells you what it is. But this is accruing. If you don't pay it, if you put a 0 in here, it accrues the payroll. It adds it up until you actually do pay it out. So you have a choice. Do you pay it out on every paycheck, or do you accrue it? If you accrue it, it will add up on this T4 in summary, and you'll see it populate here under Chad Chatterson III. His vacation pay ownership, big owing right there. But in data, if we pay it out, so if we do, okay, we're going to pay out the 4% vacation pay, this accrued will go down to 0, and then in the T4 summary sheet, it'll go down to 0 for the vacation pay owing. So this is where it always keeps track of how much you owe an employee, is in this T4 in summary sheet. So we're going back to data. Now we say, all right, let's say it was a restaurant and there were tips. You would then say put in whatever the amount, whatever the taxable benefit is. And honestly, I don't actually know if it's CPP or taxable, but you'll see here, whatever you put in here, it's going to have different types of income. You're going to have insurable earnings, pensionable earnings, and taxable earnings. And it will calculate them. You'll see they're not the same. It'll calculate them based on what you do over here in the input sheet. So if I uncheck CPP, and let's say tips are, there's no EI in CPP, but there is taxable. Honestly, I don't know what it is. You'd have to go online to find out. I don't have any restaurant clients right now. But in the data, it'll then calculate, it'll say, okay, it doesn't put the earnings. You'll see the gross pay is the 770 plus the 380, which equals 880. But the tips are not paid out on the check. Let's say they got those, it's a taxable benefit. Taxable benefit is when you have some kind of a payment, but it doesn't actually, it's not payment in cash. That restaurant person would have taken the cash off the table. You didn't give them cash. They were given tax, but you recorded it. That's one option. So let's say you've got insurable, pensionable, and taxable. But you know what? To make it easy, we're not gonna use it for this first pay, and we're not gonna have any. So just a flat up, straight up. You know, the gross pay equals the insurable, pensionable, and taxable to make it easy. Now what we have to do is we have to put in the deductions. Now the spreadsheet does not do the deductions for you. You do have to go to the government website where it will do the deductions. To do that, we're going to click on this link. That's going to bring up the website automatically. It does it for you. It goes right to the CRA website where you can do the calculations. So what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down where it says I accept. And then we're going to do, there's these options. It's always going to be salary. Whether it's hourly or salary, it's still salary. So salary, and next. We're going to select Ontario. We're going to say weekly, and we're going to say the date. So we said it was January the 6th, I believe. Honestly, it doesn't matter as long as you're in January. And if you want, you can put in your name and the employee's name. I don't, because all I care about is the calculations. I don't care about creating a pay stub using the calculator. So I hit next. Salary and wages, well, we're going to get that from our spreadsheet. So if we look here, it's $800.80. You can split them up in the vacation pay, but I just put them on the same line, honestly. $800.80. You don't have to split them up. You could theoretically split them between the 770 and the 3080, but again, I don't worry about that. From there, there's a bunch of options here. We're not doing any of these, so I just skip them all. I don't care about this stuff because it doesn't apply. None of this stuff applies. This is a basic payroll calculation. I'm just going to say next. Then we're going to go the claim code. If you know what their claim code is, most people are standard 15,011,865. If they have reason to, if they have another job, you want to put these to 0. If you're their only employer, you leave them at 15 and 11. Or if they want to claim tuition or something else, you would raise the numbers. Honestly, I just leave it as the 15 and the 11,865. And I pretty much ignore everything else. None of this stuff really applies on a basic pay. I'm just going to leave it alone because in this case, it's a standard basic employee. And 1.4 is already built into my calculation. We're going to calculate. From there, it's going to tell you all the deductions. So we say there's 880. There's the EI. There's the CPP, and there's the tax. There's the money. So we're going to take these numbers here and we're going to plug them into our spreadsheet. So what I would do is I'm going to take the spreadsheet here and I'm going to split it up here into 2. So I'm going to split the screen into 2 and let's go here we go. And then I'm going to take these numbers and move them over here. So EI is 13. $5, CPP is $43.64, and income tax is federal and provincial added together for $99.11. Okay, I'll go back and expand. We have now done a full pay. So you'll see you have the gross pay, the deductions, and the net. Now we want to create a pay stub. So if we go over here to pay stubs, we have 2 pay stubs. If you want to do 2 at once, we're going to pick Chad Chatterson. It's going to automatically know what his year to date is. We're going to go first pay whatever we're paying, It's going to have all his information. So it's going to show his rate per hour, how much vacation pay is included in the gross, and his deductions, and the net amount of pay. And as you see, they match up perfectly with the line. You could then print this, and you could take this, cut it up, or save it as PDF and email it to your employee. Throughout the year, you keep adding employees. Once you run out of lines, provided your macros are working, click on a blank line, click this little Add New Row button, give yourself a whole bunch of rows, and you're good to keep going. Once you're at the end of the month, at the end of every month, and that's why date's really important. You have to put the date. You have to be very thorough when you're putting the information in. You're going to go to remittances, and you'll notice here that under January, it's going to calculate everything for us. It's going to tell us our gross payroll and our total remittance, and number of employees you're just going to get from the input sheet. In this case, it's 1 employee. And that is the information you're going to use for when you're doing your government remittance for your PD7A form to give to the government. If you have WSIB and you put a rate in there, so let's say it's 3.2%, it'll actually it'll figure that out per month how much you owe in WSIB as well, and it'll flow to the remittance sheet. Once you have a whole year filled up and all your pay is done, at the end of the year, these T4s in summary as a rolling summary of amount of all your employees. You can then, it'll tell you how much gross they had, what their EI, CPP, and tax. It'll also tell you what your insurable, pensionable, and taxable earnings are. They line up with the T4. I believe gross is box 14. I think this is 26, 28, and I forget what that is. That's just the same as 14. And it'll have has all the information and totals you need to fill out your T4 and summary. And you can get those online, or you can give this to me and I can put it in my software and I can help create T4s for you. If you want to do a journal entry, it'll actually tell you what the journal entry is if you select the information here. And so we're going to say, look at that, it's not balancing. Oh well, what do you do? It's pretty close. Anyways, it gives you close to journal entry. It was just kind of a fun little thing to add. You don't really need journal entries if you're doing it this way, but it's there if you want it. All right, there you go. That is the PV3 Payroll Manager Pro spreadsheet. I hope you like it. I hope it works for you. And if you want it, let me know. Give me an email and I will gladly sell to you. Thank you very much and have yourself a wonderful night.